welcome you this evening on behalf of the Planning Committee of the Spokane Homeless Connect. My name is Maurice Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of Rising River Media and the Executive Producer of the documentary that we're going to watch tonight. We're excited that you're here, excited that we have an opportunity to perhaps change the discussion of homelessness, hunger, and marginalization in our city. And you will be the judges of that after this evening is over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to the film here just momentarily. Once it's over, I'm going to introduce all of the videographers who want to be introduced. I see you back there. Because I'd like for them to get the credit they very much deserve for the work that you were about to see. And then we'll also introduce all of the members of the Spokane Homeless Connect committee so that you can see the amazing people that I get to work with who put all of this together. They just kind of put up with me. They actually do the hard work. And so you'll get to meet them, and you'll see them in the t-shirts around that say Spokane Homeless Connect. And then you get to buy a t-shirt as well. So without any further ado, again, welcome. Sit back and enjoy the next hour. This is a full-length 1-hour documentary, runs 59 minutes, 44 seconds. And that sounds like an hour to me. But hopefully it will be enjoyable enough that you won't even know the time has passed. So welcome once again, and let's enjoy My Road Leads Home, the Spokane Homeless Connect.
The face of homelessness in our community can look like the person sleeping on the street, or the family sleeping in their car, or the person sitting next to you in church, or a coworker at your office. Homelessness can look like me. The face of homelessness in our community may not be the face you expected. And one of the purposes of the Spokane Homeless Connect and of this documentary is to change who and what we see when it comes to homelessness in our community. Always remembering that how we see people is the beginning of how we treat people. Welcome to the Spokane Homeless Connect.
You shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy, and to the poor in your land. Serving people in need, including the homeless, the marginalized, and the poor, is a timeless task. The author of Deuteronomy understood that reality 34 centuries ago. He also understood the human tendency over time to close our hand toward those in need. There's a timeless principle reflected here. A closed hand toward those in need is the sign of a closed heart.
It's hard to ask after a documentary on homelessness to ask people, well, did you enjoy that? Hopefully it was meaningful. Let's put it that way. I hope that it helps all of us to think about how we see those who are struggling in our community, to see them differently, to see them through different eyes. Now, some of the folks who helped us help you see it through different eyes is our videography team, and I'd like to recognize some of them this evening. I know Dan Mortimer is sitting back there in the very back. Dan, stand up and wave at somebody. Next to him is Greg Ritchie. And Greg did a lot of sit-down interviews and then some of the floor interviews as well. Neil Vanis, here you are. Doesn't want to be recognized, so I won't recognize D.W. Clark behind the camera there. and Angela Mortimer Downey did not make it tonight. She was our floor producer. She cracked the whip on everybody. She is the one, I've known Angela since she was in kindergarten, and to have Angela look at me and say, Maurice, we do this for a living. You just need to sit down and chill. And I went, whoa, okay. I have been properly put in my place. And then back here running the audio is Corey Logue, and Corey came on as an intern. And is responsible for a good portion of the editing, particularly the sound editing. And Corey just did a great job. So I want to say thanks to our videography team. And Mike Weaver, did Mike Weaver show? No, Mike Weaver was one of our other videographers, did great work. The segment 2 on the one-day count, he shot that, and Greg did the sound on it, and they just did amazing work. And so I'm very appreciative to them, because I don't know one end of a camera from the other. I just have a vision of what I want to see, and they made it happen. And then I'd like to introduce, just real quick, Carrie Chapman, come on out. Carrie is the chair of the Spokane Homeless Connect Planning Committee. And everybody that you see running around in a t-shirt like this is on our planning committee. I see Eileen over there, and I see Allie, and Renee's over there, and Reese just ran away so you can't see her. These are amazing folks. You saw them there in the credits. They put up with me, but they are the ones who really get the work done, and I just can't express my appreciation enough for them. So let's give them another round of applause. But I want to talk a little bit about how we see people, and I'm going to enlist the help of Britain's Got Talent and a young lady by the name of Susan Boyle. So when Corey pulls that up, let's step back almost 9 years into some absolute magic.
Hi, what's your name, darling?
My name is Susan Boyle.
Okay, Susan, where are you from?
I am from Whiteman near Bathgate, West Lothian.
It's a big town.
It's a sort of collection of villages. What do you think, dear?
And how old are you, Susan?
I am 47. And that's just one side of me.
Okay, what's the dream?
I'm trying to be a professional singer.
And why hasn't it worked out so far, Susan?
I've never been given the chance before, but here's hoping it will change.
Okay, and who would you like to be as successful as?
Elaine Page.
Elaine Page. What are you going to sing tonight?
I'm going to sing I Dreamed a Dream from the Miserables.
Okay. Big song.
Yeah? Yeah.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
You didn't expect that, did you? Did you? No.
I dreamed of love and
Without a doubt, that was the biggest surprise I have had in 3 years of the show. When you stood there with that cheeky grin and said, I want to be like Elaine Page, everyone was laughing at you. No one is laughing now. That was stunning, an incredible performance. Amazing. I'm reeling from shock. How about you two?
I am so thrilled because I know that everybody was against you. I honestly think that we were all being very cynical, and I think that's the biggest wake-up call ever.
I want to just spend a few minutes talking about how we see people. Because in the homeless community, one of the challenges that we have, those of us who are in the service community and those who are experiencing homelessness, how we see one another really is important. How people saw Susan Boyle before her performance was very different from how they saw her after her performance. Would you agree? And probably how they treated her was very different as well. She went from being what they considered a nincompoop to being the star of the show because they saw her differently. One of our challenges, particularly for those of us who are seeking to work with our friends in the homeless community, is we need to learn to see people differently. As Mark Terrell would remind us, how we see people is the beginning of how we treat people. We will not solve homelessness, hunger, marginalization, and all of its ripple effects until we begin to see people differently as the people they really are. Significant leaders who are going to make a difference in our community are leaders who help us see people differently. I think there are two kinds of leaders that I've run into. Maybe I haven't run into enough. I find important leaders and significant leaders. Important people want to hold the position, the title, the office, and they want to be on camera. Significant people want to make a difference and have an impact. Significant leaders help us see people differently, and we need to each ask ourselves the question, how am I helping my community to see those experiencing homelessness differently? We can't wait for city council or state legislature or, Lord help us, Congress to solve the issues of hunger, homelessness, and marginalization. We have to do it by becoming significant leaders who see people differently, and we help our community to see people differently. The words of I Dreamed a Dream are very profound, the last stanza of it. It says, but there are dreams that cannot be, and there are storms we cannot weather. I had a dream my life would be so different from this hell I'm living, so different now from what it seemed. Now life has killed the dream I dreamed. I don't know of anyone in the homeless community. I've only been at this about 15 years, so I haven't gotten around that much. But I haven't met anyone experiencing homelessness who woke up one morning and said to himself or herself, my goal in life is to be homeless. Now, if you've met that person, please introduce them to me because I really would like to meet them. Because I'd like to interview them and find out how in the world they came up with that vision and that dream. I believe that significant leaders understand the importance of helping others achieve their dreams. If we're going to become significant leaders, then we need to ask ourselves a very simple question. What am I doing to help those I serve achieve their dreams? You know, when the Apostle Paul 2,000 years ago wrote, now abideth faith, hope, and love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. He articulated a truth that's resonated with people for 2,000 years. Faith, hope, and love are three intangibles that you and I cannot afford to lose, and neither can the person experiencing homelessness. Because when they lose their faith, their hope, and their love, they lose their dreams. Because faith, hope, and love are the foundation for all the dreams that you and I dream. And I believe that as significant leaders, to make a genuine difference in the homeless community, One of our goals is to help restore the hope that they have lost and to recapture the dreams that they once had. Dream of a better life, whatever that may look like. We need to find out what it is and help them accomplish that and ask ourselves, how am I working to fulfill the dreams of those that I'm serving? Significant leaders set a tone for everyone around them to follow, and if Corey can pull that up, this is a little clip from the BBC. Our friends at the BBC Orchestra have a very interesting little clip. I watched this. Go ahead and run it, Corey. Watch. Whoops. You'll see this gal right there. She's got her back to you. Watch her. You understand what you just saw? The entire orchestra just tuned itself to her. Sometimes they call that person the first chair. Sometimes they used to call him the concert master. It's the person that tunes the entire orchestra. There are complete tutorials online that you can watch. I watched some of them about how to become a first chair or a concert master. Things like be reliable, be the person everyone can count on, be a student of your craft. Principles that you and I would go, oh, well, that makes sense. I believe that significant leaders are people who know how to set a tone for everyone around them. And we need to ask ourselves, there's a great deal of contentiousness in our world, in our nation, in our community today. Contentious, divisive, some terrible tones are being set. I'm not going to name names. You already know who they are. They're the people we don't want to be like. We want to be people who set a tone. We need to ask ourselves, what tone am I setting for others to follow and carry forward? One of the tones that we want to set as our documentary project moves forward has to do with, as the slide will move here in just a minute. You've seen the quote in the documentary, and we'll have it on one of the posters, and it simply says, "Seek the welfare of the city, for in its welfare you'll find your welfare." That word welfare is the word shalom. And the word shalom has a very deep and rich history and meaning that goes back literally 3,000 years. And it can mean things like peace and welfare and health and well-being and wholeness. It describes completeness. It describes a healthy community. We need to ask ourselves, what does a healthy community look like? What is shalom? What would that peace, that healing, that wholeness, what would it look like in the homeless community? What would it look like with homeless families? What would it look like with teens experiencing homelessness? What would that shalom, that wholeness, that peace look like? One of the people that I followed defined shalom this way. Shalom means universal flourishing, wholeness, and delight, a rich state of affairs in which natural needs are satisfied and natural gifts fruitfully employed. And the next slide kind of sums it up. Shalom, in other words, is the way things ought to be. You and I look at our community and we see things that are not the way they should be. There shouldn't be people sleeping on the sidewalk, not because it's illegal, but because it breaks shalom. It breaks wholeness. It breaks health. It breaks healing. We see these things and say, there shouldn't be homeless youth couch surfing or living on the street. There shouldn't be homeless families sleeping in their cars. This is not the way things should be. In other words, what we're saying is the shalom of our city is broken. You don't restore that by throwing people in jail. You restore that differently. And so as we move forward in our documentary work, what we want to do is we want to find people who are pursuing shalom and making it happen. Our next documentary, let me just back up. Well, you can leave it there, Corey. We're not out to document train wrecks. I'm not out looking for homeless train wrecks to take pictures of. You can get those on KXLY, or you can get those on Como, or you can get plenty of those. It's not that I don't want to see them. I simply don't want to document them because I want to find people who know how to build railroads. I don't want to watch train wrecks. I want to watch people build railroads. I want to watch people build shalom in our city. That's what I want to see. And we're going to go looking for that. For example, we're going to work with homeless families. Our next documentary will be about families experiencing homelessness. Joe Ader, Family Promise, I texted Joe this morning and asked him a question. He sent me he gave me some information a couple of weeks ago, and I'm an old guy, I forget things, so I had to text him and say, what was that number again? In a 2-year period of time, they saw 2,286 unique individuals pass through their family shelter. I call them the hidden homeless. That's not the way things are supposed to be. And so the question is, how do we bring shalom to those families experiencing homelessness? And that's going to be our next documentary called A Place to Call Home. After that, we have a plan for a documentary entitled Those Who Serve. And that's going to be local agencies that have started small and they're doing great work. Some of them I've never heard before. I had not met Julie Garcia and her husband Jason before that segment that you saw when my videographer, I was busy, videographer took over and they went and interviewed Julie. I didn't even see it until we got into the editing studio, and I'm watching this and I'm almost crying. I'm going, where'd this come from? This is amazing. And it changed the way we edited that whole segment. You see, there are folks out there who know something about healing and restoration and seeing people differently. Julie is one of those. Rick Clark. Rick, you're here somewhere. Where'd you go? There you go. Doing amazing work. My son designed his website. He's doing great work. And there are others like these folks that are flying under the radar that nobody knows about. We want to go find them. And we want to bring them above the radar and say, you know, they're ordinary people just like you who have a heart to change the way we see the homeless and how to serve them. And we want to document that. So I'm going to come looking for you. Thursday's Child, both homeless on the streets and the 3,100 plus homeless youth K through 12 who are in our city. They're couch surfing, there's all kinds of stories there. And we want to document what's going on among youth experiencing homelessness. How do we bring shalom to them and their families? How do we do that? We'll be asking you that question, and you're going to need to help us find some of the answers. My war never ended, the struggles of local veterans. I could tell stories here. I've worked with veterans in shelters. I've seen them on the verge of suicide. I know what it's like to get them help. And that's just the 1, 2, or 3 that I've worked with personally. And so I know something of those struggles. We want to look at more of our local veterans here and the things that they're going through, and then ask ourselves this question: how do we bring shalom to them so that they can heal, so that they can experience the peace that they deserve? There's more, but you kind of get the point. I actually have a list of 14 that I want to work on, and we are going to move ahead with those. What can you do? Well, you can get involved and make a difference. You can sponsor and support the 2020 Spokane Homeless Connect. And I'm going to ask Carrie to come back up. She's been patiently waiting in the wings, waiting for me to stop yammering. Next slide, Corey. I know you're used to it. The attendance at this past January, when we filmed all of this, was 240 people. And, 240. It's late, I'm tired, it's past my bedtime. It's 540 people. We anticipate at the next January, the 2020 Connect, I'm anticipating 700 plus people. Because word is spreading, the Connect's growing. We went from 350 the year before to 540, and I fully expect us to go to over 700 this next time around, which means we need a larger facility. And the anticipated cost of that, we spent $7,000 on last year's Connect, last January.
With a free donated space.
With a free donated space.
Yes, we will not fit in that space any longer. Many of you who attended probably could feel the claustrophobia starting to kick in for everybody, especially with animals in the building and everything that was going on. So we're asking for your support so that we can secure the convention center. They have agreed to host us. Now we just need to pay them. So if you guys could, buy T-shirts, buy beverages, drop some money in the donation bin, whatever you can do.
Leave your credit card on the counter, we'll take care of it, give it back to you later.
Yeah. But anything you can do would be super helpful to get us into the convention center so people don't have that huge anxiety about coming in. But anyways, as we are moving forward, the convention center is definitely a spot that we need to look into, and they've agreed to host us. So please help. And if you will look at your cards, there is a save the date card. And there are 2 dates on there, not just one. The first one is for the Spokane Valley Homeless Connect. Yes, people, we have a valley with homeless folks in it. This is happening. I'm tired of that happening. Everybody says, oh, there's no problem in the valley. There really is. And we need to address it. And as Aileen said in the video, they saw over 250 people. We didn't even see that many our first Connect in 2012. 2012, we saw between 150 and 200 people. Now we're up to 540, and once we hit the convention center, I think Maurice is right, we're going to hit about 700. And the Valley Connect is not going to be that much smaller. So at some point, we're looking to partner to help them out too. But until they grow big enough for that, then we're just going to partner with vendors and help them try to make that happen as well. So if you guys could please mark your calendars, especially you service providers, we need you there. And we really appreciate everybody coming out tonight and supporting this documentary series. We love partnering with Rising River Media. It's been a great adventure, even with cameras running around in our face all the time.
Well-chosen words, yes.
So we're hoping that not only can we create a bigger event to help more people, but that we can be a change agent and raise more awareness in our community to tackle this problem. It's everybody's problem. It's not the government's problem. It's not the city's problem. It's not our elected officials' problem. It's us as a community that are going to solve this. And I think everybody in this building knows that. So again, thank you so much for your support.
We threw this up there. The bottom line is this: we're going from a $7,000 budget for the Connect to next year. It'll be add $5,000 to that. That's what the convention center will cost us, another $5,000 plus the unexpected. It'll cost us $15,000 to put on next year's Connect, and we would very much like to have your support. Thank you for coming tonight and taking a big chunk out of your evening. It's a blessing to have you. We'll be around to answer questions until they either throw us out or you hear the cowbells ringing because the cows are coming home. So thank you again for being here.
I thought the show was great. We have, I'm from the Recovery Cafe Spokane. I'm doing the state opioid response, and it was great. It was a great documentary.
I thought it was good. I thought it covered quite a bit of the problem in Spokane, and I'm interested to see some of the solutions that might come out of it from the people that are getting organized and trying to make the Homeless Connect grow. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good step.
Completely pleased with the documentary. I knew a lot of people on it. I'm always amazed by the people in Spokane who are always doing more than me to help the city, and I don't think we can do much better than that. This is excellent. Well done.
I learned more about what Homeless Connect actually does, and I think that this type of video is very educational for our community. I want to spread the word, and it was so, you explained things so clearly of what different programs are offering and different people's situations and case stories. I love that. Homeless Connect is kind of that whole resource clearinghouse where they could come and go see what's going to help them personally.